Welcome back. The Vivo X200 Ultra guys with OriginOS5. This is Android 15. Here I do have the iPhone 11 running the latest iOS26, and next to it I do have my 16 Pro Max. This runs the iOS 18.5, the latest stable one. And here guys I do have the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra running a test firmware with One UI 8, which is actually based on Android 16. And in this video guys I'm gonna try to do a visual comparison on some of the elements that I think are important and just focus on how different iOS 26 is and will be versus the iOS right now. Alright, let's buckle up and let's start. To kickstart things, let's explore the home screen. This is the Vivo X200 Ultra, iPhone 11, 16 Pro Max and the Samsung S25 Ultra with a One UI 8 guys. iOS 15.8.5 is stable here, iOS 26. And in this video I'm going to be also trying to focus on the changes in iOS 26 versus the current iOS. But first things first, I want to give you just a general outlook. So we have a standard setup here with some widgets presenting the time and the weather and some other stuff. Down below we have a group of icons, also some folders grouped, and at the very bottom we do have our dock. Now, this is kind of the standard outlook, and on Android, which is One UI 8 and OriginOS5, you can change a lot of those things. So I'm going right now for more like the standard look so that you can see what comes really out of the box. For example, here you can see on my One UI 8 that the dock is transparent. I do have almost like the same icons everywhere. So what about navigation guys? If I swipe on the left on my Vivo, that's a China Ultra only phone. I'm gonna get this. It's not ideal, right? Yeah, what can you do? But it's still a very nice representation on what the OS can do. You have this nice animation that will kind of merge to the content, which is some recommendation that apparently I cannot read. What happens guys on iOS 26? If I scroll to the left, I'm gonna get my widget information. And if I scroll down a bit, you can just see some usages. So I'm gonna do the same now on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's kind of the same, right? We can see there is a certain blur applied, and I do believe that here it almost looks identical, minus the fact that we can already start to see some of this new liquid glass elements. Like for example, here the stock information. Let's check the bounciness. I do believe it's kind of the same. Maybe the iOS 26 just have a bit of a more pronounced bouncing, but we do have the same blur applied, and we can already see some of the different icons. Now for a reason the icons here are in the dark mode. What happens on my S25 Ultra guys? When I go to the left, I'm gonna get access to something that I use on a daily basis, and this is actually my Google feed. All right, and this is really how it works with a nice animation. You can just see, right, all very flawless. By the way, also very flat. All right, we don't have different layers here at this point of time, but again, there are a lot of theming options and possibilities, and you can just take this to another level if you want. What about scrolling on the home screen? Just as simple as that. A lot of these elements, guys, on Android are changeable. You can do whatever effects you want, like flip and cube and card. Okay, this is what I do have on the iPhone. I think on both iPhones, it's kind of like rather standard. When we go like this, right, we have the three dots here on the search, which is the find button. If I click on the search, right, I'm gonna get back to define the information. Those are somehow the basics. Now, usually, you can have also like an app drawer on Android, right? I don't use this on the OriginOS5. If I want to, I can, but here we have an app drawer, and you can also try to go and customize. So there are different settings. So right now I'm using this view, but if you go and click sort, you can get also a landscape view, but a lot of people do prefer actually the horizontal one. What about the search information? All right, if I invoke the app drawer, I'm gonna get the search information. All right, let's press search, search here as well, search here as well. How does this work on my Vivo? I just need to do so, and then I can go here and let's say try to search for Spotify. So I'm gonna search Spotify here as well, Spotify here as well, and Spotify also on my S25 Ultra. Now, it's important to see the things that we can do just from the search or from the Finder menu. As you can see, I'm gonna try to minimize the keyboard. Now I can directly open Spotify if I want, and there are also some settings starting with SPO, which is sport, and this item here is collapsible in One UI 8 Android 16. I really love that one. And this item here, guys, is also clickable, but it will also show me other things like contact information, and I can even click here, show more, and get information from Samsung Internet, from YouTube, some suggested artists from Spotify directly, widgets. Like you can see, it's very, very powerful. There are a lot of things that this search can do, and you can go also and invoke the settings. Going back will just give you the final menu. What can I see on the iOS 18? It will give me results from websites, Siri knowledge. I can also click here, show more details. You can see it's also very good. And we have this almost the same level of blur applied everywhere. Let's see what happens here on the new iOS. Yeah, I do believe it's kind of the same. You can click on show more results. It will give you almost the same results, and it will almost work at this point of time, almost at the same level. What do I have here, guys? Again, I have the top app selected, the Spotify. I do have the settings, all right? Also sports settings starting with SPO. This thing, I do believe it's also collapsible, which is fine. Contacts information, and then you have other stuff as well. So you can just see, you can really do a comprehensive search. You can also go here and select DeepSeek. Let's see what this is going to be interesting. What is DeepSeek going to give me if I search for Spotify? Yeah, actually DeepSeek is going to start engaging with some AI. Now, what I want to check here is if that's a clickable setting. This not, but if I go here, that's sport, you can see, all right, sport, and now I can go back and it will just bring me to the main menu. Okay, now let's go back to the home screen. Again, in this video, I just want to focus on the main experience and the new visual changes in iOS 26, the liquid glass, because I do believe that's important. This is a radical shift from the current Apple design. As you can see, this thing here is really flat. Some years ago, Johnny Ive, he was heading the design department, decided to kill off skeuomorphism, which was influenced by real stuff by nature. We got glass elements, water elements, wood was real wood, stones, and etc. And then I guess with the release of Windows Phone that flattened out everything, Apple decided that it was time to kill skeuomorphism, and they went, I do believe, was it in iOS 7? I'm not sure, can't remember anymore, but they went for this fully flat design, and this is the big first change that we see here, because pay attention, guys. See the camera icon. This camera icon, it's very minimal, very stylish, and the camera icon right now looks like a proper lens, and you can see there is real dimension here, and honestly, I dig it. Of course, it does look retro, guys, because things like this were very popular years ago, and it's going to be interesting to see if Apple can pull through this move and make everybody else follow their patterns, as they did with the Origin Island, right, with the dynamic island. So a lot of the things in the other Android OEMs were inspired by Apple. Apple is taking things from the others, so this is good for us. More competition and better competition eventually will be a benefit for all the end users. And we can see the first big change here. So this icon here, very minimal, very stylish. This icon here as well, you know, we just have a plain camera on a plain background with a dot here, even more minimal here. But although this on the Vivo, it's a bit more like the new from the iPhone. So it's kind of like a mix from the old and the new. But the new camera icon on the iPhone 11 with the iOS 26, it's definitely a statement that, hey, you know, we are going now and we're going to give you this multi-dimensional, even somehow retro and nostalgic look, and we want you to use your phone like that, and this is going to be the style. And with that said, guys, you can also see the other design changes. So pay attention to the Apple TV or the Apple App Store here. You know, it's almost the same icon, but we have this kind of elements around this that is coming from this liquid glass. And if we check the mail icon, it's the same. This thing here looks like a really flat icon, and the mail icon here has these lines, like the silhouette around it, that is a bit, I guess, more immersive. And it will all come down to a better understanding when I just swipe like this and show you the control panel. Now, guys, this is the control panel from the Vivo S100 Ultra. This is the one from the One UI 8. Honestly, so far, I think this is one of the best that I've used. I have a lot of things to say with this one, because first, guys, let me show you what we have here. So it's clearly that a lot of the Chinese brands are just taking inspiration from Apple and sometimes even blatantly copying things like this. I mean, come on, guys. We do even have here a camera control button, right? So it's no secret that a lot of the brands out there and the OEMs are just inspired by Apple. And this is why I do like Samsung and One UI, because they kind of went with their own direction. I think Samsung and Pixel have one of the best command control centers. And I guess one of the first big surprises is going to be here when I show you the new control center in iOS 26, because this changes everything. All right, now this has been a subject of million memes. You know, people either love it or hate it. So like, I don't think that you can be somewhere in between. I'm gonna try to be somewhere in between, but in general, you kind of either love it from the first time or you just hate it from the first time. Yesterday, I got two of my associates. I showed this to them for the first time. One of them didn't like it, which was my wife. My son, who I tested second, was more like positive. So I'm not even sure if this is going to be something that younger people will like, because they were not born or they didn't really use things like this when we had them in the past. We still have yet to see this, but definitely the first big drastic change is here, because you can see in iOS 18, guys, we have this nice, very nice blur surrounding all the elements, and all the elements here are very visible because you're almost not able to see what happens on the background. And this is the same situation here. Just pay attention, guys, how beautifully the blur expands. Okay, I'm gonna do this slowly. I'm gonna drop the curtain here on the iPhone. You see, the moment I start doing this, we have this very nice blur, and then boom, you know, this materializes. In iOS 26, guys, it's a little bit different, okay? Because see what happens here. When I try to drop it like this, okay, see, right? It immediately pops up, but then the blur that is applied on the background isn't so strong. And we have this overlay in some items where you have a lot of blur, and on top of this you have glass. And I can show this, by the way, all right? If I click here to expand the volume rocker, all right, see what happens, guys. Okay, we have here an element with a lot of blur, and then we have the empty volume rocker. And here it's a bit weird because we have blur on the background, but the blur is not so strong. And then on top of this blur, we do have also this element. But honestly, I kind of like the new shapes. I mean, this shape's definitely better than this. And I understand it's going to be a subject of your own opinion. Everybody, of course, is entitled to have an opinion. But this thing here, you either like it or you hate it. So it's very hard to be somewhere in between. And I like this about it because it's very polarizing. Like, you cannot just say, nah. I mean, you have to be very strong, like, hey, this is cool, or, you know, this is not cool at all. They kept some of the bounciness in iOS 26 as well, see here. And I really like how the whole bar just shapes around. What happens here, right here you can just see it's a bit more static. Okay, we do have a fancy animation when you try to kill off the sound. And by the way, it's also good to see, like, the more sound like pump in, we have a change in the icons here. If I hold this, I'm gonna get only something like this. What happens on the One UI 8, guys? I really like that as well, because the moment you go really at full amount, this is gonna become brighter and brighter, and the lower you go, you know, this is somehow gonna dim. And I think it's cool. And you can also hold this, by the way, and you can get this sound effects. So here you have plenty. Here you can only select the media output, and on iOS it's you know how it is. I mean, it's just like, hey, they are just giving you this one setting. So the main observation here is that apparently with the liquid glass, they're reducing currently the amount of blur that is applied, you know, on the background, and they're adding this new transparent, translucent liquid glass elements on top of it, and I can understand why some people might be frustrated. Most of the icons are still the same, but they do have this liquid glass overlay. If we just scroll here, we're gonna get the media player information, and then here we're gonna get all our connectivity options. You can see here as well, right? This thing is very distinct. You can very easily see what is what, where is where. This thing here, not so much. And right now I'm using a darker wallpaper, so it's actually easier. But if you use a light wallpaper, it's gonna be even more hard for you to try to understand what happens. Okay, and here, guys, the media player is going to appear here if I try to play something, but you can really see how much inspiration we have in some of the Chinese phones. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the home menu, and I'm going to show you the notifications. Very nice and very bouncy, and you can see everything is so readable here. What happens on my One UI 8? Same story, guys. You can see, boom, very nice, very bouncy, and by the way, everything is really very readable. What happens on the iOS 18.5? Very good. We now have full access to the wallpaper without a lot of blur, right? You can see. Yeah, and see here, guys, this element is going to be important, right? Now in iOS 18.5, you know, you just apply a portion of a blur, then the more and more you drop it down, you know, you just get this blur overlay. And okay, enough is enough. I'm going to show you now this. Boom. This is going to be definitely really something that it's going to blow your mind. Honestly, I really think that this is perhaps so far the coolest element from liquid glass. Why? I mean, see here, guys. it really feels like a physical element. See here what happens to the battery icon. And then the more I start to drop the glass, guys, you can see we have this distortion, just like light is dispersing from the glass, and you can see this also on the fonts, right? So and the more I do this, right, the more I like it. And now the best part is, guys, see here, right, I have all my notifications. I go back to the home screen. We have a nice zoom in and out effect on the wallpaper, which is nice. But see here, guys, I do this, I go back, and boom, I mean, this animation here is completely new, and I really dig it. And just imagine, guys, the iPhone 11 was released 2019, so it's just impressive how this thing runs. All right, and you can see this glass element also on the top, and the way the light again disperses from it. It's I can understand it's not gonna be liked by a lot of people, but I do like it. It's gonna be very polarizing. People will either hate it or love it, at least in the beginning, until Apple tries to do some changes. Now, what is important here, guys, is the following. If you're using a black wallpaper, you will not have readability issues, right? I can still see all my notifications. They're very pronounced, so I can click here, you know, I can do everything that I want. I can go inside and check them. If I don't like them, I can just swipe them up. But you can see the problem with this, because we have again this blur, and then blur is not so strong, and on top of the blur we have liquid glass. And if you're using something that is a bit more abstract in terms of wallpaper, or let's say the wallpaper is very bright, you're definitely gonna have problems here. Also the clock. On the clock, I think Apple solved it, because you can use either glass or a solid option. Right now I'm using glass, but I just wanted to show this to you, and once more, like how good this looks and how bouncy, like the whole animation. Absolutely crazy, guys. Okay, but now once you're here, I want to show you also some widgets. I have already added here the weather and the Spotify widgets. Even these elements here, right, that will help you to shrink or extend the widgets, are now changed, and they are made out of glass. And this adds dimension somehow. The screen is almost the same. I don't think it's changed so much, but you can see it here, right? Even this search widget element, right? How beautifully everything just goes beneath. And here, guys, it's just a simple blur, so definitely a change in that direction. And how does this work here? All right, so let's just go and add a weather widget. Let's add this one. I'm gonna go and add this kit. I'm just gonna go and search for weather. So let's just search for weather. All right, now we have almost the same widgets. It's important also to notice that the way the icons move when you want to edit them is still the same. So this didn't really change. What you can do on iOS 26, all right, you can still do on iOS 18.5. So you can edit the widget, right? You can directly go and just shrink it if you want, like this, all right? And by the way, you can also hold it like here, and you can also press edit. And this will also allow you to just, like, say, manually edit it. So let me just do this here as well. I can just press edit the widget. So in terms of widget settings, I do believe that we have the same things, right? You can play with the size, and you can manually just change it around. And you can also shrink it to an icon if that's your thing, which is good. So how does the widget animation look like? So I'm going to open the weather here. All right, you can see on OriginOS, everything is a bit more flat and very quick. So this is then now Spotify. All right. So this is the iOS 26. Okay, you can see widget animation. I think it's quite similar. They start from here and expand to the bottom. All right, so I guess not a lot of changes right now. What about the bounciness? I guess it's, yeah, it looks a bit of the same, I guess. Oh, this is the weather on One UI 8. You can see, guys, this is very, very beautiful. You have very, very nice animations. And now, guys, I'm gonna go back to the main home screen again. If you are looking at this video right now, just remember it's all about visual elements, and most probably I'm gonna miss something, so just keep me honest in the comments, please. What is one of the big new changes in One UI 26, guys? I'm gonna show you. When I press here the screen, I'm going to get the edit option. On OriginOS5, I can just click here and I will get like a tons of sections. And if I do this on the One UI 8, again, wallpaper, themes, widget settings, what happens on iOS 26? All right, this menu will collapse. And you can see that there was a difference, okay? I'm gonna show this one more time. So we can add a widget, customize, edit the wallpaper, and edit pages. In the One UI 18, here you can see you cannot edit the wallpaper. For some reason, maybe it's a setting, but I wanna show you this customize, because this customize is absolutely new, right? If I click this button here, it will, boom, amplify the icons, make them a bit bigger, which I think is great. I mean, just a simple solution, right? And it will also remove the icon title. So right now you can see FaceTime, calendar, photos. Now I'm gonna get the same icons bigger, so they're gonna be resized, and of course their names removed. We can do the same thing here on iOS 18.5, but it's just like either large or small. And I kind of like how they push it on the corner, and I do believe there is a reason for that. Now, I'm gonna show you, this is my default view, okay, default view, all right, it works exactly the same everywhere. If I press this, guys, it's going to just make some of the UI darker, and this works best if you have some of the brighter wallpapers. The dark icons work so nice on iOS 18.5, not so nice here, guys, for a reason. That's still a beta. But we have here, guys, something interesting, and that's the clear mode. And see here, guys, this is really cool. When I press clear, right, I'm going to get this absolutely insane glass crystal clear mode. This is something that exists in so many themes. You can do this on One UI, on Hyper, on Origin, ColorOS. I mean, this has been like, you know, Android and theming, guys, is a strong thing. So you can apparently achieve the very same look in One UI 8 or any other Android, and now for the first time also in your iPhone with iOS. And I think it looks cool. It's somehow also kind of a grayscale. A lot of the elements are just like black and white, but when you put the command center on top of this, it might be a bit weird, right? Because see here, guys, right now I have again a very distinctive blur on top of everything, and all my items from the UI are very readable, like here, all right, and like here. But now with this all frosted liquid glass look, it's a bit weird, all right. And then your notifications on top of this, all right, and you can see how it goes. By the way, again, let me show you guys, this pulling the curtain is just so crazy. And now with this black and white, like grayscale look, we can definitely see here this element. This looks like you put some petrol in water, like same effect. So I kind of dig that one. But there is also another mode. Let me show you the other mode. I'm gonna go back and customize. There is also the tinted mode, guys. And this is interesting because we do have tinted mode here as well. So apparently this was something that you can do on your iOS even right now. So let's just go and do something like this, and you can see I'm able to change you know, the outlook of all of my icons. And you can see it's a bit different in iOS 18.5 because on iOS 26 I'm able to change actually everything. All right, and here I don't think that I can do this so much. It's not so pronounced. But here, guys, you have plenty of options. I'm right now on the auto options, but basically you can go light like this and dark. Okay, this is gonna be the difference here. So now you can do this whole tinted thing, and you can have it like in your dark and light mode. All right, let's see here, guys, if this will change. Not so much, right? They see it's gonna change some of the coloring, but I'm just thinking now Apple are just taking this absolutely to the next level, where you can change the whole icon, right, and not just the forefront of it, and keep like a same background. You see here with this new thing, you can apparently just go crazy in terms of modding. And another thing I like is that you can do like this, and this will somehow absorb your colors from the wallpaper somehow, and this is gonna look like this. Now, is this readable, guys? I don't really think that much at this point of time. For sure it's going to require more work, but I think it's a very good start, and it really shows what you can do with the new iOS. Now let's check the settings. Something that I kind of like is the search settings bar on OriginOS is here, all right, and on One UI 8 is here as well. Okay, we don't have it here as well because it's on the top, but here in iOS 26 they just put it down below, all right. And not only they put it down below, guys, but it's kind of, again, like this glass element, right? You can see everything just so nice beneath it. I think it looks cool. So apparently they're also trying to rearrange some of the design elements, and I'm going to show you this is very pronounced when you enter, for example, the App Store. So let me just put Play Store everywhere. Okay, so this is the new search bar, and it's the same or very similar to the one in the settings. So you can click here, all right, and then you can start typing your text. It also is very pronounced, and you can see, you know, the animation is kind of cool. It's a bit different from here, right? You can see. And now I'm gonna go back, and also what I want to show you is this thing here. So on the iOS 18.5 you can go today, games, and this bar is always like gonna be static. All right, see here, guys. Okay, and in iOS 26 we have this nice like lens just going back and forth, and everything jumps, and so much glass, by the way. So I really like it, and this thing here is a good change because see here, this thing is like this thing is like this thing. It's connected to the phone, and it kind of takes away from your viewing experience. And I do believe that this is a very important change in iOS 26. I'm going to show you why I think so, because see here guys, now this is disconnected from the bottom of the phone, and you can see really what happens around. So Apple is trying to give us more of the screen, and this is very obvious in browsing. So I'm going to open Safari here as well, Google Chrome on my Android phones. So see here guys, this is kind of weird. The search bar here in Android in OriginOS5 on my Vivo is here, and it's the same in Samsung, right? So I can just scroll down like this. This is going to uncollapse, hide, and yeah, I can almost like have a full view of the browser. In iOS 18.5, the search element is down below, and the moment I start browsing, it's going to happen exactly in the same way here. So it's going to collapse, but then we still have this part that, yeah, now that I know how it looks here, I don't think this looks nice anymore. Let me show you why. Because the moment I go here, you see, the whole bar is just going to minimize itself into this, yeah, like tiny bar. And of course, here, guys, we have this nice effect. So I think things like this are very small, probably even neglectable, but they're important for the overall user experience. Because remember, you were getting this not only on iOS, in iPadOS, you're gonna get it probably also in a form in your watchOS, and then also, of course, in iPadOS. And then yesterday, I noticed something that really blew me away. The moment I open my curtain here, I have the flashlight and the camera here, right? And yesterday, while I was playing with this, they were changing the colors. Let's try again. It's gonna start now as black, and the moment I hover, you see here, guys, is white. I said that's weird, but I think Apple just are paying really great attention to details. So now it's black and now it's white. Okay, so you see what I mean? They're really trying to give you more of your space, and I really love how the whole bar just minimizes to something that's small. And it looks better, definitely better. And the best part is that we have a lot of these elements almost everywhere in the user interface. So this thing here is the stock Apple Music, and you can see, guys, right? Like first things first, see, like this uncollapses, and here guys it's just more like a static element. You can click these items, radio, library. You're gonna have again this nice and jumping effect with this somehow like lenses, and the moment you start just swipe or scroll, it's gonna get minimized and less intrusive. So I do believe that iOS 26 is gonna be just really a big change, a big visual change. There's so many other things right now, guys, that I cannot show you. For example, like the lock screen customizations. The lock screen customization is also taken to the next level with iOS 26, but I'll probably just do another video on that when I put it on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Right now, I don't want to jeopardize this, guys, and my whole idea of this video was to just show you the big visual design changes between iOS 26 versus the current iOS, and also somehow compare it with the rest in Android, like one of the finest, the Samsung S25 Ultra with One UI 8, Android 16, and my Vivo X200 Ultra. And very soon I'm gonna compare the camera of my Vivo X200 Ultra versus the camera on the 16 Pro Max and on the Galaxy S25 Ultra, guys. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you've enjoyed this rather long video. Stay safe, VST over, and bye.